Hey guys, and welcome. We did a video on Thursday. This is your host Primo, and I wanted to show you guys what it was like to run these guys with a normal setup. So this is what we got here. This is our first ever. I guess, is it Indy or is it F1? It's F1. F1 race. We had no restrictions for how these guys set up their cars, so they can set up their cars any way they want. We already have Team Chris up there. So one thing we talked about before was that these cars are set up a certain way. They have dynamic kind of settings. It's going to be based on how the front fender area, that front wing, and then the back wing that really controls what gives the car downforce and allows the car to go faster or slower. Then also what you're going to select, which is kind of the big deal, is going to be the tires. So you either select soft, medium, or hard. Love the in-car view of that. Soft, medium, or hard. Soft being a faster, but the tire is going to break down, and that's requiring you to go into. There's the pits right there. So they'll have a pit area that they can drive into. We have this for 20 laps right now. So we're in this for the long haul. It's going to be cool to see how these guys do this. This is going to turn into another series that we have for racing. And it's going to be really cool. I'm really excited about how this has come out. I was kind of upset that we actually had AWC already started up when we actually started this. So it was one thing of going, okay, we got AWC. It'll be good to have this finished out, but I do want to get something out so you guys can see it. And we brought out our best guys tonight to do their first little hello, how you doing, guys, and run these cars and just show you kind of how things are going and what they've learned from about 12 hours of this game being out. So actually, it's been less than 12 hours since we started playing, because I got up at probably 8 or 9. And now it's for here. Right now it's 8:17. So with this video, we'll go up Saturday. So this is actually the day of for us. I didn't want to inundate people with a ton of videos, but I did want to show you what these real race runs are going to look like and how challenging they're going to be. One thing, I don't know how these guys are going to do it is are they going to talk to each other about how their setups are? Or are they just going to say, this is the way we set it up? And we have one guy here that's already selected hard tires, and he is currently in last position. So that's the thing is I don't know if people will actually go ahead and start selecting different setups or saying, hey, how do you want this set up? And that's the thing is if it's together, and we'll see how that works out. So yeah, that's what we got going on, and we're seeing the race right now, and this is going to be a big one. So here we go with we're at 1 or 2 laps in right now, and again, like I said, these guys up here are probably having low downforce on their cars. You can see that their cars are faster, and also they have soft tires. Team Chris is having a little difficulty with these things when it comes to turning. It's where they get a little freaky. So that's a thing that we really want to look at and see how they handle with their turning radiuses and with everything that goes on in that route. They're a little bit weird. Some areas you can go really all out, and then other times you'll have 180-degree turns that are just difficult to run with. So this is actually one of the funner tracks. This is, I want to say, what's it again? It's Lap It Up, yes. One of the ones that I was really looking forward to running so you guys could see it. I've had a lot of luck with these today. We actually, I think 2 people ended up setting the world's record running this thing today. I don't know how long it stood. Probably didn't stand at all. But it was fun to watch it happen. It's something I haven't seen in racing in a long time. The other thing that I meant to say too is that curb boosting doesn't work on these cars. If you try to curb boost with them, you can get slowed down, I believe. But yeah, the point is to stay on the track to get the most speed you can get with them. So yeah, this is something we're gonna do down the road here. It's gonna be a light competition. What I like is that the tire wear is there. All these people are gonna be using their pit stop areas. So right now, Team Chris is already at 55% for her tire power, and both these guys up front rolling soft. As you can see, they're pretty much faster than everybody. And that's, if you guys went online and saw this earlier, I began to see this all day as people started to learn the dynamics of these cars. Is the more they played, the more they started to figure out, hey, I'm going to take this setting off and this setting off, and how that's going to work. And it's been very interesting to see how this dynamics worked. It's funny, I started off the day, lost my first race, played probably about 5 or 6 more, and get a little test thing with it to kind of feel out which was the best wheels and the best handling setup and everything. And the more my day went on, the more I was pulling stuff down to this level so that I could get to the speed to compete with these guys. And then by the end of the day, I was I'd win over and over and over again. Love this view. This is like the coolest view ever. When it comes to viewing, if you guys get a chance to run this like this, it is so cool to see like this in-car look. It's actually stuck on it too, so that's really awesome. So there's Shane. Shane's got some distance, but he's at probably about 50 to 60% of his tires are already done. You will have tire wear based on how you're running. So if you run hot all the time, you can actually burn your tires out. I did pop a tire today to find out how far I could take it. And I had one race where I wanted to win, but it was the top guys had already pitted, and I wanted to get caught up, and I ended up popping a tire, and I ended up losing the race, or came in second. But yeah, that was my day. It was first and seconds all day. It was kind of disturbing to be able to go on there and just be like, okay, so we get these seconds, and they were just staring me in the face. But it was a blast to play. This is, besides, I really love the stock car racing setup that they had. But this has introduced all sorts of new dynamics that are even better. One thing I like about this is that the stock car racing stuff really was kind of stunty. This setup is actually in the actual racing classes. So you had to race to look these things up, to race in them. And they're flat, so you're not going to get all the things that you had with stunt racing. There's not going to be any jumps ever put in F1. It's going to be, this is it. This is how it works. And I'm hoping that creator mode is going to be big. I'm really hoping that creator becomes the thing for these guys. That's something that definitely should be in the works. Everybody is asking me, when can we create F1 tracks? And I think that's going to be the thing that I don't want to take away from Rockstar is that they really did a really good job with these starting tracks. I really see what they did. There's some things I don't agree with, but they're so small that I don't even want to bring them up. This is F1 is where it needs to be. The sound of the cars is really nice. I love the way the handling is. There's a lot of dynamics to the handling. We're like right there, how do you take that turn full speed? And that's something that we're going to see more and more, as we start to learn. So those negatives are really kind of offset by the value of the way the tracks was, the way the wheels break down. I'm hoping that, even if they don't do an update now, maybe they'll do it later, is that the effects of having to pit more with the soft tires will play a role. For me, it didn't. The speed that I was getting off them was offsetting it because you just have to run the fastest setup, and that's really the trick to it. So right now he's gone past, and he's got his tires have gone red, so he's going to start losing control here. But it really waits until the end of the red to really start getting you to get loose. And if he gets loose here, he may not crash, but it'll start devaluing quickly. And this is a long race in comparison to some of this other stuff. So It could happen. I don't think he's going to blow a tire here, which is what happens when you go full red. But he may lose some control here or lose some traction. And the thing is I want to see. I don't want to use the word downforce, but handling degradation over time. When you normally have a race car, when the race car starts off, they start off on very cold tires. A lot of these guys have tire heaters, so the tires are actually heated up so that when they go on the track, they're going to perform better. But with these, it's important to have a breakdown of that. So when a real race car comes out, it's going to start off with the cooler tires. It's going to have less traction. It's going to build up to its optimal handling pretty quickly, 1 or 2 laps. And then you're going to start seeing a downward spiral of how well. There it is, see? So his tires are red. So this is what we're talking about how this degradation happens. Hey, he's lost it bad. So he's got her coming up on top of him. Team Chris is going to be next in line here. She can't be that far back. So will Team Chris pit? So this is where pit strategy is going to come into play, which I think is amazing. And so is she still in the second position? Did he get back out? Yeah, he still got back out in time. But she's caught all the way back up. So like you said, that degradation over time becomes like once those tires are in the red, for these cars it goes from being able to handle to not being able to handle at all. And that, I think, really kills the cars, especially with their dynamics or the way they work. So that's it doesn't really. You just kind of pit early, and you won't lose any control. Even with some of the stuff earlier I was doing with having my car break down after a while, like damage to the externals. As long as I didn't have any damage to that back wing or front wing, I was really maintaining the speed. So it was like they could hit body panels off. People were doing that. I mean, obviously with any kind of random racing experience, you're going to get that kind of crazy driver thing going on. So those things happen, but as long as you were able to keep those two components on, you still only focused on fixing the tires. And the other thing is when you drive into the pits, it's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you're gone. So if you say I only need 25% power or 25% more to make the distance, you can do that. And that's the thing is with these, it's not. You know what I'm saying? It's not. You want to be able to say you're changing tires. This is how long it takes, and they do a little poof thing, and you don't really fix the tires a little bit, you know. So there's Shaney going back in again. I know he didn't spend a lot of time in the pits before. That puts Team Chris in the lead here. So she's gonna end up having a pit there. Ooh. She looked a little squirrely there, but I don't know if that's from handling, downforce, whatever. So all these components come together to make these cars work the way they do. So let's just measure it off. It's front wing downforce, rear wing downforce, tire connectivity or handling, whatever the grip performance, however they measure it in GTA. And then obviously the compound itself and how quickly they break down. So obviously the less downforce you have, the faster you go, and the softer your tires, the faster you go, but the quicker they break down. Armor in this, you can just buy armor, and armor's armor, so you don't have to worry too much from that standpoint. Armor definitely helped me, but from the standpoint of it just made it a little bit heavier versus doing the stock car race when you just like nobody has any upgrades on it. That got really weird. And we may actually just have these guys set it up and say, you can't use aftermarket stuff for it. You have to use the stock setup. We'll see how that all works out. It's going to be something we're looking up for in the future. So, and so in the middle of that, there's going to be, you can see here that especially when two guys have, or a guy and a gal, for instance, have dialed in setups for their vehicles, the pit stuff became relevant. And it's affected the speed of the course and the way the setup is and the finishes from start to finish. So those things are going to come into play. That's the only thing I don't like, and as you can see with this, I don't like the lone racer kind of setup. That's a lot of times I want to have everybody together and kind of view all the cars as a pack, and that's something that's something I can't really, you know what I mean, get with these, because when it comes to open wheel or any kind of open event like this, you usually have 2 or 3 racers that are really with the same car leveled based on their ability. Some people are just naturally gifted. The other thing is with cars and setups, some processors are going to be faster. Some people are going to have different connectivity, and that connectivity is going to play into frame rate and things of that nature. And those frame rates determine how fast these cars go. So that's the thing, is you're going to see some of these guys that just naturally have faster ability to drive. I really think that in the early days of my winnings, what really got me to play over and over again is the ability to win. I really thought I was doing something special. I don't think I'm a bad racer by any stretch of the imagination. It's something that I've done in the past. So I knew about it, but I didn't have the seat time that a lot of these guys I think had. But I was able to have a good connection, come into races, win races, and it really motivated me to stay. There was a time when I changed my Xbox to a bigger Xbox that had better connectivity and things of that nature. And sometimes my handling was really hurt. Like, there was times that today I see myself more in second place than I do in other areas. I don't know how that plays into things, so we'll see. But yeah, if you guys know about that, let me know. I would love to find out how that kind of setup works, or what you guys' testing process was to see how those things work together. If you have any ideas of how these guys should race a championship, I am more than open for it. I really think it's kind of just set up the way it needs to be now to really just support that system. The trick really is going to be, do you tell everybody what equipment, or make them set up a certain way, or just tell them it's got to be a stock setup? I think the stock setup is the way to go. But I don't know. A lot of people want to have that dynamic racing experience, and I don't want to deny it to them, even if it's not as entertaining to watch as we're seeing here. The 2 guys go up front and they do it. If you guys want to see the 2 guys get up front, the guy and the gal, if you will, get up front and dominate the race, I am all for it. And why not reward them for good engineering, for the sake of engineering. But that's the thing is it's more for me to say, hey, what's entertaining for the people that are going to watch? And that's really why I'm recording tonight, is to show that entertaining thing, to kind of measure it and see how things go. And this is, here we're getting a two-person race here. I don't know how Team Chris is making it this far. She's got soft tires, and she's given a lot of laps here. I don't know if she has pitted, but she's definitely going to be coming up on a cycle. Usually, especially with this track, we come up on 2 or 3 cycles that are going to happen. We're 20 laps, so that's going to be something that really, how's that going to play into things? So we'll see. Okay, so we have, who's this back here? So is that Andrew? Yeah, so there's Shaney. Shaney's digging at her, asking her where those things are, and she just responds 25% is where she's at for dynamic, her dynamic power here. Shaney's having some, Shady. We have an Andrew Shady, and we have a Shaney boy. I don't know where to go with this, guys. Help me out. Just, should we call one Andrew and the other one Shaney, and just, or just one guy Andrew and one guy boy? Should we just avoid the Shaney in general? So that's a fun one. I love doing this stuff, but he's catching up. Let's see what he's got for times here. So he's doing a 1:36.212. This is where those little times setups are critical. That's one thing that I noticed, that when I was racing, I was a second ahead of somebody, and that second per lap was killing. It was just something that just became huge. So she's definitely got to come up on, it's got to be, yeah, there it is. That's what I thought. She was already having issues. So that leaves, there is an Andrew behind him. Is that faster speed versus the medium tire setup that doesn't take as much work? Is that a thing right now, or are we? It's one thing, you see, these are lessons that we learn, is Now I'm going to have to ask people how they're setting up their tires during races or before races to kind of see, write it all down and say, what are you guys setting up, and see how that works. It looks like Andrew had to pit. And that's going to leave Shaney up here running a strong run. Kind of out all by himself. Okay, so we're on lap 13 right now of 20. So we should be on, that's the first cycle of pit stops there. It's going to be weird because we're kind of in an offsetter number for the soft tire guys. Those people are going to have to probably pit 2 or 3 times. Shaney had to pit early. So how's that going to play into his thing? It's going to give him a little bit more spacing. I really liked kind of setting up my car for the finish line. So when I came around, I knew how many laps I needed left. And then I pitted then and said, if I can do 6 laps on these. So and Team Chris crashed. So I figured if I had the ability to run 6 laps on the tires that I had, I would pit then and then hit the track knowing that I know I'd be right at the right amount of distance. So is that? Oh, there's Andrew. See now, and that's what Shaney just said. He goes, I knew I had 7 laps, so I ducked in, put myself in a position where I can run the rest of this race flat out. Now, can Andrew and Team Chris do that? We don't know. Do they push it? Maybe it's worth it. I don't know. But that's going to be up to these guys how they want to run their races. And that's the thing is these guys end up being smart. Oh, Team Chris got conked on that sidewall there. But that's so Shaney is set up for the end of the track right now. Team Chris has now lost her front bumper, so she has got to pit to get that fixed. And that is going to play into not giving her any kind of win. But if she's going to pit here and repair the car, she's way back now. She's bleeding off time because of that front bumper. See, that's what I was saying. The downforce now no longer works for the car. So now she's not able to perform at her maximum. And it's going to put her in an area where that competitive thing is going to hurt her. But that's the thing is how do you get that last thing? How do you time yourself for your pit stops? What's going to work best? That's some of the stuff that we're going to be able to go over here and say these people have setups these ways and see who is the fastest. That's going to be huge for us, and I think it's going to be huge for you guys that are watching because you're going to be able to later on come back and say, okay, well, we watched this one competition with VIPPrimo, and this is how things work for those guys. And maybe we'll just post the setups for these guys and see which front bumpers they're using, how they set their cars up, who had the fastest car. Is it really just a trick of numbers, or is it based on downforce? We'll actually I'd like to do some modifier numbers to really get a good idea of how these cars are set up, because those steps in power that's giving you 0.2 seconds faster. So for instance here, Andrew Shady 136.212, you can see he's catching up, but does he have mediums or does he have softs? Are those things playing a key role here? And he doesn't have to brake. If he doesn't have to pit half as much as Shaney does, that's going to put him in a position to take the win. So Shaney here is just playing good pit strategy, giving himself some distance. But as he goes down, those tires are going to probably bleed off a little bit. They're not going to be at their optimum. And he's just tearing him down. And the other thing is where to use the boost. That's a big thing. Boost control here is based on brake, so you don't get it all the time. So if I hit the corner up here, I've hit the brake, I do my thing, I go in the straight, then I've used my boost. That's going to be a big play. How do we use it? When do we use it? Do you use it in the corner or do you wait to the straight? That was something that we really saw a lot of figuring out today. And that really did play a key role of who won and who didn't. And all that stuff is going to be something that gets worked out in the juice. That's the other thing today that I noticed, that when I was winning, I think I was winning more in the pits and how I was using boost than I was actually having the best laps and being consistent. So if you can run these races, don't hit any walls, stay off the bumpers, keep it on the track, and just not look at the brake a lot of times, and do that consistently, that's huge, and it's going to play out, because I had guys that were doing had a best lap of 2 seconds faster than me and was still beating them. So how is that going to play out down the road here? I don't know. We're going to see. We're going to learn these things. We're going to go through it all together, and like I said, I'm hoping that we're going to get setups for cars, and we're going to share those things and see what's the best. And I think there's going to come a point, at least in the median, that everybody kind of has the same setup. And I hate to say it like that, but the reason I say it is because that's just how digital games work. Digital racers have things that they try to control that's very difficult to control, because it's basically a perfect environment. These are things that in real life, you get flaws in tires, or you get an engine that just doesn't want to run optimally, or maybe the temperature isn't right. When it comes to racing in a digital simulator or a digital even more so in an arcade, there's ways of basically manipulating that system. There's actually a back wing right now, a back spoiler, that is not registering as having a lot of downforce. It's registered as stock downforce, and we haven't figured out why. Now, is that something that's because it's giving more power to the car, or is it just because that's the way things are? It's something we're going to have to all figure out. And I'm sure that down the road there are going to be things that Rockstar's going to want to patch. They're going to want to fix. Because there's nothing wrong with making this perfect. What I hope doesn't happen is there's a lot of people out there that are probably already getting a little bit flustered about how to set these up. You set your car up, you spent the most money, and the most money is actually the slowest setup, and you're telling yourself, why am I not the fastest? And that's the thing that I need to tell people as I'm going, well, that's something that Rockstar should kind of look at from the way of handling and downforce and other things, but also that we want you to be able to look at these options and say, wait a minute, I can actually win with this setup. I just need to put it together in a way that's going to be effective on the track. And that's the thing is it's really just your setup. Like, you're a good racer, it's okay, but you need that setup dialed in so that you can be competitive. And if we can hand you that, we're golden. I would be very happy if people come over and say, hey, I like how Shaney drives. I like how he sets up his lap times. He sets up his time to go into the pits. And that's the thing is for instance, with a 5-lap race, I never got off soft. Like, just throw on the softs and don't worry about the breakdown for it, and throw it in and make it stick. That was kind of it. But when it comes to races like these where it's 20 laps, now those brake things are going to play. One thing I saw today too is all those guys out there, if you put it on 10 laps, I'm going to give you an applause. My hat is off to you. Well done, because it really put a push on a lot of players to not want to run the soft tires. And what that allowed me to do is get those 2 to 3 seconds ahead of them. And when I got a 2 or 3 second lead on somebody, it gave me a lot more time each lap. Like, over 3 or 4 laps, now I'm 4 or 5 seconds ahead. I only needed the 2 seconds in the pit to fix my car. And that was the thing is now I'm dialed in, and I'm going to be competitive. So it's going to be cool. Okay, so this looks like the big move here. I think he's got one left to run. Shaney has got 30% of his tires, so he may not have gauged his tires. He may not have gauged them where they need to be. Now, I haven't even seen Andrew do something with tires. So I don't even know where he's standing when it comes to having pit. but I know they've gone red on this lap. I know for a fact he cannot make it to the end of this race. Wow, how cool is that to have our first race be a pit maneuver style finish. So Andrew is at 40% here. He's got no problem. And then Shaney up here, who is pushing hard. Oh! Why did that do that? Andrew, I show your tires of having blown out. Is that true? I know that, dude. The video shows us as your tires are blown out, but you're still having handling. This is crazy. Okay, we're gonna change over to Shaney. That's weird. Okay, so he goes in the pits there. We'll move back to Andrew, who's now gonna be on his last lap, but it shows his tires are being popped. This is crazy. Well, this will be something great to show off. I mean, we've literally hit everything when it comes to this race today, haven't we? Like, there's nothing that we haven't missed here. We have his thing, are now showing in the red for him, but he can make the distance on it. But the thing is, you can tell that he's got handling, but they're showing as being popped on the screen. That's hilarious. So let's see how we look for its facing here. So Shaney's got a dominant second place, even with Team Chris's. Team Chris got hurt by her thing. Everybody has good solid runs. I mean, we're at 136s all across the board here, but even with that, we're seeing weird kind of setup here that little things have taken people and put them into different areas. Just, it's real trippy, isn't it? Whoa. Andrew just said, what about too soon? Because he said on lap 3, he goes, too soon about passing him over there. He's like, you went for it, and they both went boosted. And look at this. Like, this game does not know how to handle that. Okay, so he got it. He definitely finished. And there's Shaney, who just came. Oh, big crash from Rhymes. And there's Montana. I switched over to Team Chris, but I think it's going to pop right back to them because they finished okay. Rhymes says he's not sure if he's going to make it. There we go. Yeah, it popped right back because she finished. And with the impact there, Montana got his front wing torn off. I'm going to notice that was something happened to Team Chris. So he's going to have a real slow race there. That was it. That's our first race, guys. Put some stuff in the comments below. Let me know how you feel about this. This is great. We're going to see more of this. Thank you for dialing into VIPPrimo. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We'll talk to you guys soon, and have a great night.